Today I'm going to install my new doorbell camera, replacing this with this. It arrived in an envelope from the Big River Delivery Company, also known as Amazon, and the box has in big letters, "No monthly fees," just like I like it. It also says you need to have a doorbell transformer rated for 16 to 24 volts AC, which I actually checked before ordering. Oddly, it's rated for 16 volts, but it tests at over 19. Regardless, it's in the spec range, so I'm good. Let's get the box open and see what we have. Looks like a set of instructions, a USB cable, and a drill bit for the plastic anchors, wiring for the doorbell chime module, various mounting plates so I can adjust the angle of the camera if I need to, plastic anchors and some mounting screws, the camera itself, and a chime kit to connect to my existing hallway doorbell. Alright, safety first. We don't want the power to the doorbell turned on while we're working on this, so we'll get it shut off. Now, while I'm getting the old doorbell removed, I'll explain a bit of the backstory on how I arrived at this project today. Recently I was reading the news online and I saw a suggested article where Consumer Reports reviewed some doorbell cameras. Up until now I had been less than impressed with all the doorbell cams that just seemed like money-making schemes for the seller. You know the ones. They turn off the best features unless you pay a monthly hostage, subscription fee, for the life of the camera, so I hadn't bought one yet. In the article they reviewed the camera I'm installing today, and the chief redeeming characteristic to me was that it let you have all the features with no monthly fees. It was offered in both a 1080p version and a 2K version, which is the one I bought. I confirmed with the TA that she would be okay with having a camera at the front door, and she said she was cool with it. The TA is my task assigner. Usually the way it works is she yells, "Hey, hon," and I suddenly find myself with something to do that I didn't know I needed to do. In this case, the project was self-initiated, but I got the TA pre-approval, which means she didn't currently have anything else for me to do. By the way, if you're interested in any of the tools or other gear I use for this and other projects, there are links to them in the video description. According to the directions, the next order of business is to connect the chime module. The process is pretty straightforward. Loosen the screws where the existing wires are located. Insert the chime wiring connectors on top of the wires without removing them, then retighten the screws. I would have preferred to hide the chime module inside the case, but there was no room, so I was out of luck on that. The module ended up sitting on top of the cover. Since the doorbell is pretty close to the wall, I'm going to install one of the included extra brackets to turn the camera 15 degrees away from the wall to get the camera view more centered on the foyer. I'm using the blue torpedo to make sure everything is on the level. Then I'll mark where I want to drill the pilot holes. I'm not a big fan of using these plastic anchors in stucco if I can avoid it. In this case, I took a lot of pictures when the house was being built, so I know there's plywood behind here, and I'm going to use some longer wood screws instead. I'm using the impact driver to get the screws started so I can save my wrist, but I'm going to be careful and stop just prior to the point where I might strip out anything. I'll use a regular screwdriver to finish the job so I have a better feel for how much torque I'm applying. The existing opening in the stucco is wider than the new doorbell camera, so we will need to use some stucco patch later on to fill it in and then paint it. Now we'll attach the wires to the doorbell and click it into place on the mounting bracket. The moment of truth is when we turn on the power. Looks like it's alive, so while it's booting up and initializing itself, I suppose it would be appropriate to clean up some of my construction mess so the TA doesn't give me the gaze of shame. If you're not already a subscriber, please click the button and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. It would help support the channel and make the TA happy. This is the stucco patch product used for the minor repair. It only took a couple of days to go through the process, and here's how it looked when it was finished. Now it's time to install the app on my phone. We are Android users, so if you are too, it should be the same, and if you're on Apple or something else, then your experience may vary. I have to create a user account for the app for both myself and the TA so we can both use it on our phones. Separate email addresses and passwords. Oh yay. Now the app is installed and I have to add the camera. This is done within the app by scanning the QR code on the back of the camera, which I don't really have easy access to anymore, but the QR code inside the box is the same, so I'll scan that. A couple of things I noticed right away is that the video preview and the recording resolution both default at the lowest resolution. I changed those to the 2K resolution since that's what my camera can do. There are more settings we could talk about, but there are a lot of individual factors dependent on where you set up your camera, what the lighting is like, how much traffic is typically in front of your house, and so on, so I think I'll let you explore that on your own. Now it's time to enjoy the fruits of my efforts. Feel free to join me. If you enjoyed this video, check out some of my other ones.